All right, welcome to Prompt Responses. I'm your host, Shonda Renee, and I'm back. I took a bit of a hiatus from the podcast just to kind of regroup. I had another project come up that I had to pay some attention to, and I still have to pay attention to that project, which is why I will be posting new episodes once a week rather than daily, as I was doing when I started this journey into this podcast. So I'm pretty excited about that. I'm glad to determine a pace that actually fits into my schedule. I think it's going to be a great thing for me. It's a real creative outlet for me, in addition to my day job and my side gig, which are real technical hustles. So I'm excited to be feeding my creative spirit and my writing spirit with this podcast. So, this first episode of this second season, I'm calling this my second season, is an interesting one. I chose to do a prompt. Well, I'll just tell you the prompt is, do you practice religion? And it just so happens that recently there was an episode of Pop Your Balloon or Find Love where there was a lineup of young men and a very nice young lady who came out, and she was a very attractive young girl. And the more they got to know her, everyone kept their balloons and all of that until she said one thing. She said that she was an agnostic, that she did not have faith. The balloons just went pop, pop, poppity, pop, pop, pop. And I was at a complete loss. There was one gentleman, he was a sleepy-eyed gentleman, and he had a shirt that said something about, I don't know, something about Jesus or what have you. But that was all he was looking for. If the woman did not come out and say that she was a woman of God, he was popping his balloon. He wasn't given no slack whatsoever. Then there was this gentleman who he popped his balloon, but he didn't know what agnostic was. He actually had to ask a question. He asked the question. And there are no dumb questions, but there are questions that make you go, And that made me go, sir. Okay. All righty then. And then there was one gentleman who said that he didn't have a whole lot of faith, but he felt like the woman in his life should have some kind of faith, something for him to work with. And that puzzled me even more. So I don't understand. And I'm good with understanding. Whenever I tell people I don't understand, they tend to think I want to understand. And I know myself. I've lived with myself my entire life. So if I haven't gotten it by now, I'm not going to get it, and I'm good. I've lived this long. I've been blessed by whatever it is, and it's all good. So, yeah, that was really interesting, that episode. And the young lady went home. I will say this: there are social media posts about it too, and I've been kind of going in on one of those, specifically on Facebook, about that episode. And it's just mind-boggling. And I'm not demeaning anyone or anything like that. Everybody has their right to their belief. And it's great. It's absolutely great. And I will explain my take on religion and how it shows up in my life or doesn't show up in my life, and how I lead through my life in this prompt response. So just hang on a minute and we will get into it. Now, I know you've already liked and subscribed, so we're going to just hop in. So like I said earlier, The prompt for today's episode is, do you practice religion? And my response is titled, In the Land of Grace. First, I want to say, I truly believe the world is big enough for believers, non-believers, and everything in between. If we could agree on just two simple truths, beliefs aren't the same as knowledge, and none of us really knows if God exists, then maybe the world would be a little kinder and certainly a lot less bloody. In between one's belief and not knowing is the land of grace. Grace is where the beauty of humanity lives. It's where your peace continues to bloom even when disruption enters your space, and where another human being is offered the chance to reflect and do better without shame. With that said, my journey with religion has resulted in me being a very happy agnostic. It started when I was a few years younger than Langston Hughes was in his essay titled Salvation, where he writes about his experience of getting saved at his Aunt Reed's church. In his day, churches were filled with whooping and hollering people, just like mine was. Every Sunday, folks would be flailing their arms and gyrating in the pews, overtaken by the Holy Ghost. The same Holy Ghost who seemed to not know I was alive, the same way it didn't know little Langston was alive. While it was my Aunt Tony who coaxed me to go up to be saved, it was Langston's Aunt Reed who pleaded with him, long after the Rounder's son, Wesley, whispered, "God damn, I'm tired of sitting here. Let's get up and be saved." Wesley joined all the other children who leapt up to be saved and left Langston sitting on the mourner's bench all alone. Langston sat for some time, desperately wanting to see Jesus, but he didn't show. Eventually, he felt ashamed enough about holding up the service that he decided to lie to his aunt and the congregation, just like Wesley did, and went up to be saved. Langston was such a tender-hearted soul who just wanted to see Jesus. He sobbed into his pillow that night because he no longer believed. I wasn't as tender-hearted as Langston, and my story is just a bit different. One Sunday, after all the hoopla around the pastor's sermon, Reverend Airy asked if anyone wanted to come to Jesus and be saved. My Aunt Tony, who rarely came to church, just happened to be there that day, possibly a holiday. She encouraged me to go up to be saved, so I did, and I was scheduled to be baptized the following Sunday. I was excited about it all week. I was prepared to see Jesus surrounded by doves and hovering in the glorious heavens once I rose from the baptism waters. I was going to be somebody new, cleansed of all my childhood sins, whatever those were. But alas, Sunday came. I waded into the pool beneath the choir's stage, and Reverend Airy dunked me and declared me saved. I eagerly brushed the water from my eyes to see Jesus in the heavens, but all I saw was the dusty ceiling of the church, and I felt the same as I had always felt. Now, sometime after, I had the notion that Jesus didn't come to me because I wasn't really ready. After all, I wouldn't have never gone up there without the prodding of my aunt. So when Reverend Airy ended his sermon and once again asked for those who wanted to be saved to come forward, I did. I walked up with all the confidence and sincerity of someone ready to be saved. I told the congregation that the first time I was baptized, I wasn't ready, but that I was ready now. The church erupted in amens, and God blessed that baby's heart. The second baptism day came, and I was dunked again. I eagerly brushed the water from my eyes, and once again, there was the ceiling. And me, unchanged. Now, I didn't cry like Langston. I just felt bewildered and alone, but not in a desperate sort of way. It was more of a sense of, all right, I just have to walk this path alone. A kind of resolve to own myself and whatever I manifested. Now, I didn't completely stop searching at first, though. Since then, I've attended a Catholic service once. There was a language barrier, not knowing when to get up or sit down, and the spooky music. I had a brief stint with Jehovah's Witnesses that ended when they blamed my night terrors on my Prince paraphernalia and had insisted I throw it all out. I married into a Nation of Islam situation that I have dubbed the Nation of Hislam because at the end of the day, whatever that brother believed, it was all twisted into his own machinations. But that's a post for another time. As it related to Islam, just like the Bible, I tried to read the Quran, and just like the Bible, there was stuff that I couldn't process in my mind, heart, and spirit. Just like I couldn't find my way past the questions that sprung up in Genesis, I couldn't get past Surah al-Baqarah in the Quran. It seemed to speak to men about women as if we were possessions or dependents rather than fully autonomous individuals. And then there was the additional teachings of the Nation of Islam, which blended religion with a combative narrative built around the invented construct of white supremacy. Though I see it as a well-intended form of racialized self-defense, it left my spirit feeling dim and bereft of light. So, I say I gave religion as good a try as I possibly could. My soul and my spirit are quite content with not knowing. I've had my share of fortune and misfortune. In fact, I sort of believe that if there is a God, his, hers, or its sense of humor is top tier, considering my fortunes and misfortunes. But truly, I don't feel like I'm missing anything by not declaring a belief I honestly do not have. Not being a complete liar must count for something. Huh? If it didn't, maybe I wouldn't have the full life I am fortunately living. I have healthy children and grandchildren. I have a wonderful marriage that is void of religion in all aspects. We just love each other of our own free will. We've gone through the same challenges that deeply religious people face, and we do the work to get realigned with each other when things fall out of step. That leads me to believe it's how much you draw from that place of grace that counts, more than what religion you claim. And maybe that's what Langston Hughes was getting at all along, trying to make peace with a world that didn't deliver the God he was promised, but still needed something tender, something true, to hold on to. It's evident in Mr. Hughes' two-stanza poem, Prayer, that he wrestled with it, much like I did, and at times still do. The final stanza reads, "Gather up in the arms of your pity. Gather up in the arms of your love, those who expect no love from above." I hope you enjoyed that, and thanks so much for listening to Prompt Responses. If something in this episode stirred something in you, I'm glad. These reflections are just a way of making sense of the world, one prompt at a time. I'm Shonda Renee, and you can find more over on this side of the apple. Until next time, take good care of yourself.